Most people come to Deadwood, South Dakota, for the legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, gunfights in the street, whiskey-soaked saloons and poker games that ended in blood. But some visitors come for something else. They come looking for ghosts. Jake and Melissa were just tourists, driving cross-country and looking for odd places to stop. Deadwood seemed perfect old-timey buildings, historic sites, and bars that looked like movie sets. But from the moment they stepped onto Main Street, something felt off. The mirror fogged up on its own, and at night they heard boots on the wooden hallway, slow and steady yet. When Jake opened the door, the corridor was empty. At the Bullock Hotel, their room was chilly, even with the heater on. Locals at a nearby bar laughed when Jake mentioned it. Melissa swore she heard cards shuffling and a man muttering, as if he were losing a hand. Course it's haunted. Everything in this damn town is. You're staying in the same hotel Seth Bullock built? An old bartender said, wiping a glass. That night, Jake saw a shadow move across their room, even though the door was locked. They almost left. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Deadwood is known for one story above, all how Wild Bill Hickok was shot in the back while holding what became known as the dead man's hand. Every August 2nd, people leave playing cards and whiskey at the site of the murder. But few know what happens after midnight. Smoke drifted in the air, even though no one smoked anymore. Melissa couldn't sleep. Jake had passed out after a few beers, but she was restless. She decided to go downstairs for water. As she passed the old lounge room, she heard voices. To pair aces and eights. A single poker chip rolled slowly across the floor before stopping at her feet. He wore a black frock coat, long mustache, and held cards tight in his left hand. She peeked inside. The lights were dim, but four shadowy figures sat around a poker table. A chair slid across the wooden floor like someone had shoved it angrily. One bartender refused to even look at the far end of the room. One of the men looked straight at her. His eyes were pale blue. It was Wild Bill. While walking among the gravestones, Melissa felt something tug her sleeve.
Ow.
No one was there. Melissa gasped and stumbled back. When she looked again, the room was empty. The chairs were still pushed out. Melissa left her phone on the table in the room while they went out. The man was dressed like a miner, boots, suspenders, soot-covered hands. He tipped his hat to them, said nothing, and disappeared into thin air. She picked it up. It was ice cold. Back upstairs, Jake was wide awake. "You hear that?" he said. The sound of a gun cocking echoed from somewhere below. They were too scared to sleep. And that's when the whispering started. The next morning, Jake and Melissa walked the town, hoping daylight would shake the weirdness off. But things only got stranger. At Old Style Saloon No. 10, the doors kept swinging open on their own. "You feel that too?" Melissa asked the man behind the bar. He nodded. But when Jake reached for the hotel door, it wouldn't budge. They rushed out of the hotel, down Main Street, not even stopping for their deposit. At the bottom was the poker chip from that first night. She hadn't put it there. Every damn day, Bill still plays. He still wants his revenge. Later that day, they visited Mount Moriah Cemetery, where Hickok and Calamity Jane are buried side by side. The cards in his hand were soaked in blood. Jake spotted an old man near the fence. But every year, on August 2nd, Jake finds a card tucked under their door. That night, they tried to record the sounds they'd been hearing. When they returned, the screen showed an open voice memo. Playback revealed a slow, raspy voice. "She's here. She knows the cards. She knows what I lost." The air in the room dropped. Jake's breath came out in a fog. They had to leave. But it was too late. They planned to check out the next morning. Bags packed, car ready. It wasn't locked. It was just stuck. Melissa backed away slowly. Her eyes were on the mirror. The reflection showed a man standing behind Jake. He wasn't there in real life, only in the glass. Jake finally yanked the door open. As they passed the saloon, the doors slammed shut behind them. They drove until Deadwood disappeared in the rearview mirror. 2 days later, back in Rapid City, Melissa emptied her purse. That night, Jake had a dream. He sat at a table across from Wild Bill Hickok. "You owe me a game," Bill said. "Everyone who comes to Deadwood plays." Jake woke up screaming and never spoke about it again. Aces and eights. It's the dead man's hand.